Well, smoking in pregnancy is one of the leading causes of preventable adverse outcomes in pregnancy, and it has been argued that it's the leading cause in the developed world. It's associated with outcomes such as miscarriage, stillbirth, premature birth, low birth weight. So they're all some of the big birth outcomes that can be affected. So it's argued one of the main things you can do to have a healthy pregnancy if you're a smoker is to stop smoking. And about a quarter of women do stop spontaneously, just stop in a way. The ones that carry on tend to be more what I'd call hardcore smokers. They like to be more dependent. They're more likely to come from a deprived background for have a lower socioeconomic status. So yeah, there are a lot of adverse outcomes associated. Um, for the pregnancy and the birth outcomes, there are also poor outcomes for the child as well. So it can lead to psychiatric effects such as attention deficit disorder for children of mothers that have smoked in pregnancy. It can also result in cancers. There's some evidence it's associated with cancers for children that have had mothers who smoked in pregnancy. And in other sort of more long-term effects, if your mother smoked, you're more likely to take up smoking yourself. So then that's sort of continuing this sort of there's a generational effect then continuing that the harm into the next generation. And I mean, that's all I'd say about the harms. I mean, that's a lot of harms. Well, in theory, it should prove outcomes because a lot of the harm from smoking comes from the burning, from the combustion, the burning of tobacco, and all the substances that are produced by the burning. So when you're vaping, you don't have any burning, it just produces a vapor. So the potential harms are likely to come from the vapor itself. I mean, they both have nicotine in, but there's no evidence that nicotine's harmful in pregnancy in humans. There's some studies in animals that showed it could be harmful, but the main concern is with the vaping ingredients. Now, the study's been done, like the study that we've published recently, to show that the toxins in vaping are far lower than in smoking, in vaping, and they're quite similar to someone who'd never smoked or vaped. But there are some toxins that are similar to smoking, and we in that study we didn't look at every toxin. So there could be toxins out there that haven't been looked at that are in vaping that could affect the pregnancy, could affect the fetus. Um, but at the moment, we haven't done the studies to look at birth outcomes to find out actually what happens if you vape in pregnancy. Because the problem is that most women who vape, they either currently smoke or they previously smoked. So the studies that have been shown so far, when they've found harms in pregnancy or for birth outcomes. It could be due to the fact that they smoked earlier in pregnancy or around the time of conception, or they're currently smoking. So what we need to do is a study with three groups, one with exclusive smokers who have smoked from preconception, one with exclusive vapors who have vaped from preconception, and one with those who've never smoked or vaped. So we are conducting a study like that at the moment with those three groups. And it's quite hard to get those groups, particularly exclusive smokers, to get women who from preconception then monitor them all the way through pregnancy to make sure they're still just exclusively smoking and not, sorry, exclusively vaping and not smoking. So we're aiming to do that study at the moment. So I'd say based on the evidence we got at the moment, having some professional support, what we call behavioral support, so advice and support about the quitting process, there's good evidence that that helps. There's also some evidence that using nicotine replacement therapy, so things like nicotine patches, can help, particularly if women use the dose that's recommended. So often, because of concerns about using nicotine replacement, that the women either don't use these a strong enough dose or they don't use it for long enough. But when they do use it, it seems to be effective. Probably the most effective intervention we found is financial incentives. But of course, that's not available everywhere. Like in the UK, it's widely available that you actually give a like a shopping voucher as an incentive at different points in the pregnancy to help women stop smoking. I mean, also there's vaping. I mean, if you've tried other vet methods and you find vaping's more appealing, more effective for you than nicotine replacement or other methods, then it's often argued that you're better off vaping than smoking, even if vaping might cause some harms we don't know about. No, just that we need more studies really looking at birth outcomes amongst those that are vaping versus smoking and not using any products. So we need very rigorous studies that have got biochemical verification of whether they've smoked or vaped or not as well at multiple times in pregnancy and ensure that they're not that the vapors particularly haven't smoked since preconception. And when we have, a number of studies like that, we'll find out what the true effects are.